my truthfully take is I don't think the Vikings are done adding to the quarterback room. I really don't think they are done. Hey there, and welcome back to the Mini Weekend. I'm your host, Jack. Let's get into it, Mini. All right. Well, thank you for coming back. And first and foremost, just want to apologize. I know we didn't come on last week, and I think I did a bad job of explaining why. But a week ago today, we came home with baby number 3. So around this time last week, we were a little bit busy getting home with baby number 3. Getting the 2 bigs back that weekend, and just a lot going on, and it slipped my mind to put something out saying no podcast, so do apologize about that. But more than anything, we are back and in full swing, coming at you guys on a weekly basis. Once again, it's been a crazy week with a new family of 5 here. We are going to keep coming at you guys on Thursday nights. If I'm being completely honest, I didn't realize yesterday was Thursday. I thought yesterday was Wednesday. So I thought I was doing the right thing by waiting a night, and it wasn't. So here we are, Thursday, March 13th, back at it. And it seems like the new outline that we've done the last 2 weeks has been a hit with you guys. So before I come at you guys with the 10 things that I have to talk to you guys about this week, do want to just remind you guys that March Madness is upon us, with today being Friday. Selection Sunday is this Sunday, 2 days from now. So needless to say, by the end of Sunday, brackets will be live and you can fill them out with everybody that's going to be in the tournament. However, groups and everything, like the tournament challenge, is live on ESPN. So those that want to get in early and make sure they at least have their brackets in the mini weekend challenge, go ahead. All you have to do is go over to ESPN.com. You want to go to the ESPN ticker all the way to the left, right to the right of where it says where to watch. Hover over fantasy, click on men's tournament challenge. And then from there, for those that are new, you guys are that this is not your first year, you know what to do. If you're new, all you have to do is click groups, and groups, just put the MIN, and we should be the only one that comes up, the mini weekend. Just made ours public just a couple days ago, so not very many people, but go ahead. You can get in. You cannot actually, like I said, with them not being live yet, you can't select anything, but you can get your brackets in. Just like every other year, you can do up to 2 brackets. And we will be paying out in merch, people, like we've been doing the last couple of years. So go get signed up, get ready. I know I'm psyched. I hope you guys are. One of the best times of the year. So without further ado, the 10 things I have to talk to you guys this week about. First and foremost, bring the podcast. So once again, it's been a couple of weeks, but wanted to bring back our friends from Northern Soda Co. And we're coming at you guys with the watermelon lemonade. And I have to be completely honest, always, just like a lot of people, always love a good lemonade. Never been a huge watermelon flavor person for whatever reason. And I'm kind of on the fence about it. I don't love it. I don't hate it. The watermelon kind of offsets the lemonade to where it almost tastes like a little bit of a lollipop, like a sucker. Pretty interesting flavor and taste. For those that are new, Northern Soda Co. is a Minnesota craft soda brewing company, specializing in like 1950s style sodas. They're located in New Brighton off of Campus Drive in the Warehouse District, right off of 35W and what is that, County Road D West, kind of over by that Caribou Coffee in that area, kind of by, what is that, Lake Johanna, actually not too far from my parents, and the University of Northwestern St. Paul. Always forget about that. It's the first time I brought that up. So yeah, go check them out. They have all sorts of things. Now that it's getting nicer out, I believe they have an outside area where they'll have bags, things like that. But they have a lot of vintage, old school arcade games in there. They have a cool little bar area. You can belly up and get soda straight from the tab. They do events. They do you can get a tour of the place. So many things to do. You can purchase a bunch of their merch as well. If you're there, you can enjoy the greatness of their sodas, but you can also build your own 6-pack and 24 packs and purchase them there as well. And if you are somebody who loves Northern Soda Co., you can actually create your own online, and they will ship them to you now, which is really, really awesome. So go check them out, northernsoda.com. You will not be disappointed. You can actually find them all over social media: Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, You guys will not be disappointed, and make sure you let them know their friends at the mini weekend sent you. And for those interested in some of their events, simply go to their website, northernsoda.com. Like I said, Saturday, March 7th already happened, but they got bingo coming up on March 19th, St. Patty's Party on the 20th, starting at 6 p.m., Dole Whip Week from the Thursday the 26th to the 29th. They got Soda Sample Frenzy coming on the 7th, and Build a Moss Garden in a Jar on March 28th. So they are always doing some fun stuff, really cool things, which is really cool. And you can also find where you can buy these sodas to you as well. But like I said, doesn't taste like a real lemonade, in my opinion. It's more, like I said, the watermelon flavor isn't terrible. It kind of offsets the lemonade a little bit, and I kind of wish the watermelon was a little less watermelony and a little bit more lemonade-y. I feel like that would be nice, like almost like a not a Crystal Light, but like a Simply Lemonade kind of a thing. I would get it again, but they have a lot of, guys, you gotta go look at past stuff. They have a lot of really good sodas that I would rather have before this one. So I'm gonna go ahead and give it a 6.3. It's a solid soda. I don't think it's one of their top sodas that we've had so far. I think we're nearing the end of everything that they have trying on here on the podcast. But it's a good one nonetheless. If you are a watermelon flavored person, you're probably going to love it. Me personally, I think it's okay. It's definitely not one of their better ones. And yeah, if you want, in my opinion, some of the better ones, I would recommend their root beer. I would recommend their Sunday Purple, their Orange, Minnesota Apple, and then their Cherry Citrus. Those are kind of like the top ones that I would have recommended for you guys. So, like I said, 6.3 watermelon lemonade, Northern Soda. Go check them out. So that was number one. The second thing we wanted to talk about you guys tonight with is University of St. Thomas's winter sports seasons coming to a close within this last 2 weeks since we've been on. 3 of our 4 teams have been eliminated. The first team was the hockey team, as they came to an end in the WCHA quarterfinals. They lost to the number 2 seeded, Ohio State University Buckeyes. Friday, February 27th, they lost 1-5 before falling 1-4 on the 28th, which, stinks going out that way. But once again, we've talked about this before. For the women's hockey team, the WCHA is just a straight gauntlet, and it's honestly not quite fair, but they'll get their footing and they'll be there before we know it. The team was rounded out by Riley Bartz, who led the team with 17 goals. Chloe Boring was the only other Tommy with double-digit goals. Whitney Horton had 9 goals. Ella Berger had 8 goals, and Isla Lindemann rounded out the top 5 with 7 goals. In the points category, it was much of the same people. Riley Bartz had 30 points. Ella Berger had 28 points. Chloe Bolton, 21 points. Madison Brown, 19. And Whitney Horton with 18 points. So a huge congratulations to them. And then, on the women's sports, unfortunately, the women's basketball team was eliminated within the last 2 weeks. Being the number 5 seed, they actually beat the number 4 seeded team, Oral Roberts, in the quarterfinals by a score of dropping 26 points in the second quarter and holding Oral Roberts Golden Eagles to just 8 points in the opening quarter, and they just could not bounce back from that. St. Thomas outscored the Golden Eagles in 3 of the 4 quarters, which was amazing. They were led by Michaela Werner with 21 points. Alyssa Sand chipped in 17, and Faith Feuerbach had 12 as well. So big win from there for them in the quarterfinals. Unfortunately, winning that 4-5 matchup, they had the number 1 seeded North Dakota State fighting Bison in the semifinals, and surprisingly, they played them relatively close, only losing 51-63, despite losing a big margin to them earlier in the season. The biggest thing for me was a 5, only dropping 7 points in the second quarter. Outside of that, they held their own. Take out their 7 points from this was a 12-point game, so you take out that second quarter, and it was essentially a 7-point game. So they played the top seed very, very close, and I would say this is a big big step for the women's team going into next season. I think they've got to feel good about where they're going, playing that number 1 seed that closely. And basketball team was eliminated from a lackluster game. Again, in the semifinals, I watched the semifinals game, and there were times it was tough to watch. They were one of the best 3-point teams in the nation, but it just seemed like they were throwing up a lot of unnecessary 3-pointers, which just didn't. It just didn't need to be that way. They ended up going 4 for 24 from 3-point land. Only Nick Janowski, Carter Burke, and Isaiah Johnson Aguru all made 3-pointers, and everybody except for Ryan Dufault at least shot 2 3-pointers. And the amazing thing is with how bad they shot the 3-point shot, they only lost 66-67 due to just a bad errant pass from Austin Hero in the last couple seconds of the game, and then fortunately, once again, being the number 2 seed, they did take down South Dakota State before that, 80-67. You couldn't help but feel like if they were able to pull out that game against North Dakota, it could have been anybody's game in that number 1 championship game series. And lo and behold, North Dakota ended up going on to beat the Bison to get the automatic bid by being the Summit League champion. But there is one team still in the running. Still one team left in the running. The men's hockey team is set to take on tomorrow night number 3 seeded Augustana. They're hosting them at the Lee and Penny Anderson Arena after taking care of business, beating the Lake Superior State Lakers 2-0 in the first round of the CCHA quarterfinals. And it's amazing when to think about. So in Division One hockey, I did not realize this, but there are only 6 conferences in Division One hockey, and there are 16 total teams that make it to the tournament. With how high the team is ranked in the NCAA, so only in the CCHA, only Augustana is ranked higher than St. Thomas, meaning the number 1 seeded Minnesota State team is actually right behind them at 17. So with how highly they are ranked, there is a legitimate chance that as long as they make it to the CCHA championship game, that they make it to the tournament, regardless of if they win the CCHA or not. Obviously, if they win the CCHA, they get an automatic bid. And it's going to be tough because just in the top 10 you have, 3 Big 10 teams, 4 NCAC teams, 2 ECAC hockey teams. So it'll be kind of, once they figure out who the automatic bids are, it'll be kind of, okay, who deserves it, who doesn't, who has good records, all that kind of stuff. But there's a legitimate chance that should they make it to the championship game, all they need to do is win this game against Augustana, and they should make the tournament, which is crazy to think about. But super, super, super awesome. I can't wait to see how it shakes out. Truthfully, I would love to have at least one Minnesota team make it to the whole dance, whether it's Duluth, whether it's St. Thomas. Minnesota's not going to make it, maybe Minnesota State, but it's always fun to root on a Minnesota team. So that is what we have for the UST winter teams wrapping up their seasons. Hopefully the Tommy hockey team can keep it rolling. Yeah, that's what we got there. Next up, number 3, recapping the MSHSL tournaments. So obviously this last weekend, last time we were on, we talked about the girls tournament, but for the boys tournament, that wrapped up for the first time in I can't remember how long. Both championship games were decided in overtime in Class Single A. Number 3 seeded Warroad took down Hibbing Chisholm 5-4 in overtime. In the Class Single A, and then in Class Double A, we saw number 2 seeded Moorhead defeat Minnetonka by the same score of 5-4 in double overtime. So a huge shout out to both of those teams. In Double A, rounding out some of the top finishers, Rosemount would take the 3rd place game. Edina lost and would have gotten the fourth place in it. and the consolation winner was Grand Rapids beating Lakeville South 6-2 in the consolation championship. And then on the single A side of things, you saw Montemita winning that third place game, beating Delano, and then the consolation championship was St. Cloud Cathedral. Nonetheless, congratulations to all 16 teams that made the tournament. No small feat, regardless of if you only had the 2 games or not. Congratulations. These teams were essentially the top 16 teams in the state, and there's hundreds of hockey teams throughout the state of Minnesota at the high school level. So congratulations. Then also wanted to shout out the girls tournament. My alma mater, the Hill Murray Pioneers team, actually made the tournament this year, which was exceptional. They got the 4th seed, and they unfortunately fell, or the 5th seed, they unfortunately fell 84-65 to Cretin-Durham Hall in the quarterfinals, but they went on to beating Wilmer 86-76 in the consolation semifinals, and then beating Totino Grace 81-41 for the consolation championship. A huge congratulations to them. That happened earlier today, and then tomorrow the championship is between number 1 seeded Stewartville and number 2 seeded Benilde St. Margaret's. Hats off to both of them. Earlier in the day, Cretin-Durham Hall and Marshall will take on each other for the 3rd place game. So that is what we have for them. And then we're bringing back a segment that was started, I think, this last summer, maybe 2 summers ago, that we've kind of gotten away from, but back by kind of popular demand, and I always usually have a lot of hot takes. So it's called Truthfully, and typically it came to my attention a while back. I say the word truthfully in the podcast a lot, and my close friend said it was, you'd say truthfully, and it was followed up by kind of a hot take. So in today's segment of Truthfully, my hot take, or my truthfully take, is I don't think the Vikings are done adding to the quarterback room. I really don't think they are done. We're going to get into it towards the end of the podcast here with who we did sign. But I think despite already having 2 key quarterbacks in the room, I don't think we're done entertaining bringing in another guy or bringing in another top dog kind of a guy. But that's my truthfully take for the podcast. I don't think the Vikings are done adding to the QB room, and it wouldn't surprise me if they still went after a Joe Burrow, a Lamar Jackson, but we're just gonna have to wait and see. I think the start of the league year just happened within the last week, so it'll be interesting to see exactly what comes of that and what unfolds. So that's what we have this week for Truthfully. And then next up, we have our friends over at Unreal. Tonight I'm rocking their this is the Sahara color of their Weekender snapback. Super simple. I love the cursive writing on the front. You have the cool little look up here with the vintage rope. Once again, vented on the back end. Doesn't keep your head from getting super hot or super cool. I love it. And then we also got, I forgot, but it's their Impact Full Zip, and it's their limited edition Vikings one. They have some really cool established in 1961 on the hood, but really sleek, really cool. You can wear it year round. You can wear it on those summer nights that it gets chilly at the end of the night, definitely in the fall. I wear this winter. Just super, super fitting, super comfortable. Yeah, I mean, you guys know I could go on and on about all Unreal and all their stuff. It simply is unreal. That's not their tagline, but it should be. But yeah, for anybody that is interested, unrl.com. If you're going on there, make sure you check out the link in my description so you can get $15 off your next order, as well as that you can accrue points that exact same order, so you can use those points for anywhere from $15 to $50 off of your upcoming orders. But before we do let you guys go, I want to remind you guys, they are the top of the line in athleisure as far as I'm concerned. They have clothing that you can wear lounging around the house, stuff you can work out in, stuff you can wear to the office, stuff you can wear to the golf course. They really, really, really do have everything. But a couple of things that they got coming up here. They have a Minnesota Timberwolves in-arena exclusive coming on the 20th. Excuse me. I can't remember who we're playing that night, but it looks like it's going to kind of be that purple tribute to Prince. So I'm really wanting to go and get one of them. But we are currently in the midst of their collab and about to be their second of 3 drops with the Minnesota Loons. The second drop here will come on the 17th online, and then the in-arena availability will be on the 22nd. And then for the third drop, we'll have to wait for about another month. It'll be on April 14th, and then online, and then April 18th for the in-field one as well. So mark your calendars for that. It looks like this next one is going to be pretty sleek. Instead of that black look, it's going to be white with maybe a little bit of navy or a little bit of that light blue that I think is just sweet. But go check them out. You guys will not be disappointed. They were sold out of everything last week, or last drop. But yeah, go check them out. You can take a look at their lookbooks, their stuff with the Timberwolves, Twins, Wild Collection, album capsule. They're doing stuff, I'm not kidding you, with everybody. They just did an in-arena exclusive for the Milwaukee Bucks not too long ago, Detroit Pistons. Like, this is a Minnesota company through and through. They are seriously getting so much national recognition, and it is certainly well-deserved. So yeah, go check them out. You will not be disappointed. UNRL.com. Make sure you let them know their friends from the mini weekend sent you, and make sure you use that coupon code so you can get $15 off your first order and accrue those points going forward as well. But with that, that is all we have for UNRL. The sixth thing I wanted to talk about was the World Baseball Classic. I completely forgot about that this was happening. I don't believe this happens on a yearly basis, but essentially it's broken down. It's 16 teams. There's 4 pools. In Pool A, there was Canada, Puerto Rico, Cuba, Colombia, Panama. Pool B, Italy, USA, Mexico, Great Britain, and Brazil. And then in Group C, Tokyo, Japan, Korea, Australia, Chinese, Czechia, and then Dominican Republic, Venezuela, Israel, Netherlands, and Nicaragua. In Pool D, and very similar to like Olympics, the top 8 teams essentially go on there. So Canada won Pool A, Puerto Rico were the runners-up, Italy won Pool B, we were runners-up, and then in Group C, it was Japan and Korea, and then Group D, the Dominican Republic and Venezuela. Then it's essentially like a knockout round. So where we are at now, in the first quarterfinal, the Dominican Republic, blanked Korea 10-0. 10-0, excuse me. We'll play the winner of the U.S.-Canada game right now that is going on as we speak. And let's see, I didn't realize this was going on right now. Let's see where this game is at. So, we are currently up 5-3, end of the 7th inning. Cal due up for us in the top of the 8th. Bregman, Denny, Cal rally, and it looks like Schwarber, Bregman, Tureg, and Crow Armstrong have all hit RBIs for us. Oh, look at that, we have 5 now. We're up 5-3, top of the 8th. So, very likely, hopefully we can win. We play the Dominican Republic. And then tomorrow, Puerto Rico and Italy will take on each other at 2 p.m. Central Standard Time. And then Venezuela and Japan will play at 9 p.m. tomorrow night. Semifinals will be the 15th for the U.S. and Dominican Republic if we win. Second semifinal will be on the 16th. And then on the 17th, the championship will be played on Fox at 8 p.m. So, once again, totally forgot this was happening, but I think this is a really cool thing to do kind of leading up to the MLB season at the end of the month. I believe from the time the 17th until it starts is about a week and a half, so it should be kind of a good getting everybody excited. I kind of forgot about it. As soon as we get off here, I'm going to turn this on, and it should probably be a good game. And as always, go USA, baby. So yeah, next up, the Wild. So I know we're past it, but the Wild were buyers. Number 7 is the Wild were buyers at the trade deadline. And they went out and they didn't really make any of that like huge splash plays going off of like Trocheck or Ryan O'Reilly, but they really beefed up a lot of what they felt like they needed. And I think they did enough to potentially win a round or 2 rounds in the playoffs. One of the first ones they did on the day of was they traded for the Nashville Predators center Michael McCarron from the Predators for a 2028 second-round pick. Michael McCarron is, I think, exactly what they need. He's not an exceptional face-off guy, but he's 6'6". He's relatively, in a good point in his career. He's 31. But they kind of beefed up a little bit of that middle of the ice combo with the getting a center like they needed, but also getting some size going into the playoffs, which was important. He's also I stand corrected. He's strong on the faceoff circle with a career percentage of just under 53%, which is awesome. So that was the first one that happened. I'm sure most of you guys know, but I like to kind of recap everything. So that happened, and then World. So we made that trade. We also acquired veteran defenseman Jeff Petrie to the Panthers for a conditional 7th-round pick to kind of beefing up that D-core with Brodin and some of those guys that have been out with injuries. And should be good. Another big body to have come playoff time, which should be good heading into this playoff push. We also brought home Minnesota native Bobby Brink from the Flyers, sending them David Jiricek in return. Solid defenseman, if you want my honest opinion, but at the same time, he was a little bit undersized, I thought, and I mean, there's nothing that he did that Brodin, Spurgeon, and, Faber, Quinn Hughes, a lot of those defensemen couldn't do. And then the last thing that we did was we sent the Blackhawks, the Blackhawks traded us Nick Foligno, doing him a solid so he can kind of chase a cup with us, playing with his brother. No retention on his contract, which should be kind of fun to see. So once again, kind of getting like two centers, two sides, and again, Nick Foligno is not, just like his brother Marcus, is not shy about trying to, if things are going stagnant, throwing his weight around. And I mean, honestly, between Petrie, Foligno, I'm not sure how much Bobby Brink will play, him and Jeff Petrie, along with Quinn Hughes. I think this team, they've been playing kind of lackluster so far these last 8 games, going 4-2-2, and dropping some of these games that they definitely should have won or gotten 2 points out of. But at the end of the day, you want to get healthy and you want to kind of get on a run around this time. The Wild sitting at, what do they got now? And that's the other thing too, they played more games in Dallas and Colorado. So, Dallas has 1 game in hand from us, Colorado has 2. But with the Wild having, I guess, 18 games left, because it's an 84 season now instead of that. But 84 and 18 left here. Every game matters. They're only 4 games behind Dallas Stars for the 2nd seed, and they're only 9 behind the Colorado Avalanche. So we could very well get on a hot streak. Between Dallas and Colorado, we see those teams a combined 2 times. So those games are going to be big. Being able to hopefully beat. Hopefully these next 4 games they can go 4-0 going into Dallas, New York, Toronto without Matthews, Chicago. But again, this Wild team is very much in control of their own destiny going forward, heading into the playoffs. So it'll be interesting to see where things go for them. Next up, number 8, the Vikes restructuring deals and already getting busy in the NFL offseason. I always kind of forget when the year started, but the first thing they did was they essentially informed running Aaron Jones and Hargrave that barring a trade that they were probably going to release them at the start of the year, trying to save some cap space and everything like that. Then not long after that happened, they announced that we were open to trading outside linebacker Grenard. And then it was official that Kyler Murray was released from the Arizona Cardinals, bringing up a lot of speculation. We were expected to release defensive tackle Jonathan Allen, but to kind of start off some of these things, Ryan Kelly retired after 10 seasons. Doesn't surprise me after, I think he had 2 concussions just this last year. We redid Hawkinson's deal, clearing $5 million of cap space this upcoming year. We stuck with Eric Wilson, I think was a great idea. After that, we decided to keep running back Aaron Jones on a restructured deal, saving us some money a little bit there. We cleared up about $30 million in cap space heading into this offseason, which is really important, especially if you're going to try splash and get a big name player or a big name trade or something like that. Which kind of segues into the 9th thing we would talk about here is Kyler Murray, K1. And it's crazy to hear me actually say that out loud to you guys and not just to myself in my head texting with my friends or my brother. But yes, it happened. And I think the best way to describe it is I mean, I'm just gonna bring up my text with my brother, um, the other night, and like for me, part of the reason I'm kind of torn on this is because you don't really know the Vikings' intention with this, right? Because in my opinion, if you're bringing him in, Arizona this upcoming year is essentially going to be paying him $35.5 million to not play for them. So the contract that we gave him was the vet minimum, I think was like $1.3 million. So on one hand, what a fucking value. Like to get a guy like you know what his ceiling can be despite coming off of a foot injury, so it'll be interesting to see what happens with his injury coming off of that year. But so the value is there, and the value is unmatched. However, if their intention was to sign him to be that guy, again, you're taking a chance on a 7-year vet who is coming off of a foot injury, who became a 2-time Pro Bowler by being able to threat as a runner and a passer. So there's a lot of questions I feel like coming off of his foot injury as how mobile is he able to be despite that foot injury. And I don't like him being our long-term solution. I think he's more of a short-term solution, and he's probably not more than likely going to work out. And then once he's done, it's going to be tough to get value for him, especially with him only being on a 1-year contract. Then you either, you're stuck between a rock and a hard place where you have to decide, are you doing enough to garner us trying to keep him back, or are we going to run into another, Sam Darnold, issue here? It's interesting. But now at the other side of the thing, if their intentions are to get Kyler to fill out that QB room, then I'm all for it, because I really don't think, with how early we are in the offseason, I really don't think signing Kyler Murray completely closes the deal or closes the door on potentially trading for Lamar, Josh Allen, or Joe Burrow. It just makes things a little bit different, because the other thing I wanted to say too was you also have to think about your star wide receiver. If you're the Vikings, you have Justin Jefferson, who's already 27, who is only under contract for 3 more years and probably has 6 years left of being elite. So if you want to keep him along long term, I think you either have to, I've said it before and I'll say it a million more times, I think you have to commit to JJ being your guy and develop him and continue to just kind of get in JJ's ear and Jetta's ear, trust the process, or go get a Joe Burrow who can help you win now. And with Kyler, I don't know if you can get to the Super Bowl with Kyler Murray, especially if he's not going to be that dual threat that he has posed in the past. So it'll be an interesting to see how this works out. I just think, why have Kyler Murray when you can have Joe Burrow, Josh Allen, or Lamar Jackson if you can go get those guys? Again, one of the other big things I mentioned to my brother, I said, if I'm running an organization, personally, I'd rather have that guy, like a Joe Burrow, Lamar Jackson, who can be my guy for a decade, rather than taking the risk of wasting 3 or 4 years on a guy like Kyler Murray, because what I fear is he's going to do enough that we don't want to get into another Sam Darnold situation, but then you sign him for 2 or 3 more years, and then he just doesn't get back to that spot, and he just fizzles out, and it's like, okay, well, now what the fuck do we do? So again, it'll be interesting to see what happens. I think if I have to go one way or the other, I would say I'm not thrilled about it, but at the end of the day, the Vikings have proved me wrong in good ways in the past. Hopefully this happens yet again. And unfortunately, coming to you guys on the Friday, I do not have a underdog parlay for you guys. Obviously, there's a lot of games going on tonight, so trying to find stuff that I like for tomorrow. They don't have a lot of lines and such set. Just some of the games I do like. So again, with player props not being up for tomorrow, 10 is technically going to be March Madness reminder and bets that I do like for tomorrow. I'm not placing anything necessarily verbatim here, but this is what I got for you guys. So I do, obviously, the Boston Celtics to win. They're playing a very poor Wizards team. I think the San Antonio Spurs are going to lay heavy. I would honestly, for the Boston Celtics and the Spurs, with how well they've been playing lately, I would do their money line. I would bet their money lines, or potentially even them to cover their points. The Philadelphia 76ers over the Brooklyn Nets, a couple other games. I like are the Clippers to beat Sacramento or the Heat to beat the Magic. One game I would stay away from is the Denver-LA games. I think it's a near pick 'em. I think both those teams are just as good as the other team, and it's going to depend on who gets hotter, kind of a game type of thing. So yeah, those are some of the games that I like. I like for tomorrow. So yeah, and then once again, go to ESPN.com, sign up for the mini weekend March Madness Bracket Challenge for your chance to win some mini weekend merch. There might be a surprise prize for number one. Working on a couple things here for the Bracket Challenge. So needless to say, like I said, go get signed up for the Bracket Challenge. And like always, make sure you subscribe to the podcast wherever you listen to your podcast or on YouTube so you can get notified of the new episode as soon as it comes up and you can stay up to date on all things mini weekend. Make sure you follow us on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, all your social media posts so you can stay up to date on everything we are doing. And lastly, make sure you hit that subscribe button on YouTube where we drop all of our video podcasts. And as always, until next time,